Welcome back, listeners, to the BizBlend podcast, the show where we don't just talk about growth, we talk about how it actually happens. I'm your host, Sana, and today's episode, well, it's for founders, sales leaders, and operators who feel stuck between knowing they should grow and not being sure how to grow without chaos. Now, sales advice is everywhere, like hustle harder, build a funnel, follow ups, 80% follow ups, 20%, I don't know what, hire more reps, push the quota, achieve, overachieve, and all that. But then, here's the uncomfortable truth: many companies are doing sales every day and still not intentionally growing revenue. They are reacting, not designing. And that's why I am personally very excited for today's conversation. My guest, Shad Tiddler, a seasoned member of the Lushin sales team since 2014, has worked across global markets, helped businesses build scalable sales systems, and brings a very unique discipline to his work. And let me tell you, listeners, outside of sales, Shad is also an Ironman triathlete. And that matters. It matters because endurance sports force you to think in systems, pacing, and long term consistency. And Shad is known for bringing calm into high pressure revenue conversations and helping teams move past short term panic toward intentional growth. So, today we are going to unpack what intentional sales growth looks like actually, where companies go wrong, and where conventional sales wisdom may not hold up. So, Shan, welcome to Brisbane, and I'm really honored to have you here with us.
Well, Sana, thank you. I'm very honored to be on today with everybody.
Super. Very interesting, Shad. I am personally very, very keen to, explore the parallels between the Ironman triathlete and your works, but we'll definitely come to that. But before that, okay, intentional growth. I mean, it sounds great, but
Mhm.
then um hardcore, I mean, it can sound vague. So from your experience, what does intentional sales and revenue growth actually mean in practice?
Yeah. The biggest thing it means to me is just and you said it in the intro, Sana, it was, are we reacting or are
Mhm.
we responding in the environment? And are we getting up every day going, this is the vision or the goal where I want to go to? In my experience of doing this, there's a lot of people who just and there's great growth that comes from taking advantage of the of what's going on in the market and and what's happening maybe in your industry, et cetera. But I find it's fewer and fewer that are very clear on here's where I'm going and why. And I was doing a webinar earlier today for an association, and that was our topic is how do you take your company mission and vision and goals and get your people behind it and grow intentionally and help and keep them going and helping you grow. And the
Mhm.
very first thing it starts with is having that mission and vision, like, why am I doing this? We have a big, it's part of our culture here, and you call it a rule or a phrase. I don't like calling it a rule, but like a phrase that we always say is that, make it mission over money and you'll never be poor. And what that means is being intentional every day coming in is what's my mission or vision I'm going after? And then how do I put the pieces behind it? And when I say pieces are things like, not only goals, but the right structure and tools and the right people in place and the right things along the way that we're going after that versus just kind of reacting. A lot of companies I see that just react is they lose focus of that, and it's easy for them to get pulled off in this direction or that direction. And before they know it, the leader's going, well, this isn't exactly what I intended, or we're plateauing, or it's like we're getting so far outside of what we're really good at. And it's because they're not being intentional and focused in it.
Hmm. And that makes sense, Chad, because honestly, if you know that why are you here, why are you doing this, I think that directly translates into the discussions, the calls you have, the cold calls, the pitches, the discussions that you have with the prospects. I mean, it's not just blindly, okay, buy this, buy that, you'll never regret. This is the discount, that's it. I mean, this is great. But why exactly you are telling that? How exactly you are telling that? I think that makes sense, and that directly lands up in the discussions and the conversations you have with the prospects. Yeah, makes sense.
Absolutely does.
Mm, yeah, great, great. So Shad, I think that's absolutely clear, and let's flip that around. So, what does unintentional growth usually look like inside companies? Like, what is the status quo right now?
Unintentional really looks like we're just we're here focused on this thing today, and then tomorrow it's over here. Unintentional looks like, hey, we've got these goals as a leader I put out there, but my people don't seem to understand what those even mean and why and how those pertain to them. Uh,
Mm,
Unintentional means people are, like the leader comes in and goes, well, why are we working on this or why are we focused on this? And they're like, why? Because we think this is important, right? And then they're
mm,
God, this is important, and it's very much like if you think of you're trying to drive in a certain direction, right? And you're going, this is my goal, head in this direction, but then you've got like these chains or rope on the car, like kind of pulling over here and pulling over there,
mm,
pulling each side. It becomes hard to go anywhere, and you see the car kind of stalls or stops or keeps going back and forth,
mm,
like in that area. It's because all these things are pulling in all these directions versus they're lined up and pulling in the same direction. So it's just the things I hear from leaders are when you see that unintentional is like, I don't think my people get it, right? Or they don't see these
mm,
things as important, or it seems like we're going after this area and this kind of stuff, but that I don't think that's really our area that we're really the best at. Um, or even just how do I get like everybody going in the same direction? Like that's usually where it's unintentional. And your leader's not clear enough to go, here's where we're going and why, and communicate that down, gives people behind, or he or she doesn't
mm.
know how to do it. And then you see those that misalignment, those problems are happening.
Exactly, exactly. Just like a headless chicken.
It's good. But it absolutely. Yeah.
No offense.
Untaken, yes.
Um, and um, I think this also makes sense because many teens confuse activity with intention. Like they're busy, but they're not aligned. I mean, calls are being made. You have to make 100 calls, 200 calls. Deals are being chased, but
Mhm.
then there is no clear explanation. Why those deals matter or how they connect to a bigger revenue plan. And I think this not only shows up in the numbers and the outputs, but it shows up in the way you communicate internally, you behave, you exhibit, like this fear, because I have to achieve that. So by anyhow, like this short-term goal, I have to achieve it.
Mhm. Absolutely, and, um, yes, you see those things, and the other piece there, so, what you said is that goes with this is that people don't understand. They're like, "Okay, I gotta make 100 calls, but why?" Well, they don't understand how it adds up to the company goal, and helps you get there, but they also don't understand, well, how does that help me get to my personal goals and what I want? Um, People work hardest for their goals, not the leader of the company, not your goal if you're a leader. That's why they're there every day. And the like I said, the webinar I was doing earlier today was about that, and that was a big point of it is if you don't know what is personally the goals and drivers of your people and their motivations, and you
Mhm.
can't then help them connect that and go, "Hey, if I go out and hit these company goals and do these things like making that 100 calls a day and getting this many meetings and conversations and get better, and that helps me
Mhm.
get to that company goal, then that helps me get to my personal goal." If you don't help them make the connections, then they go, "Why are we doing this?" Right? Why does it matter? It's like I'm just coming in and like you very much says it's the difference between activity and productivity. Activity is I'm doing a bunch of stuff, which is great. You got to get into behavior and get action for things to happen. But productivity is I'm doing it for these reasons and checking these things and looking to improve because I'm going in this direction.
Exactly. Exactly. I think let's listeners, let's take this as the first highlight from this conversation, take away from this conversation, and moving on. Shad, it's this is one of my favorite question. There's a strong belief in sales that great sellers outperform bad systems. Some leaders even say just hire killers and everything will work out. Based on your work, your experience, your observations, do systems actually matter more than talent when it comes to sustainable growth?
Uh, yes, but they have to work hand in hand. So yes, but
Yeah.
caveat. Um, Great sellers can outperform systems, but they will also leave those systems as it becomes harder and harder for them to be great and be even more effective. You will hear like when leaders and managers are interviewing salespeople, they might say, "I left because, like, my compensation, my the amount of money my compensation was tapped there. I couldn't grow anymore there." And they tend to take it as like, "Well, they tapped out revenue-wise." Well, no, it's usually because the systems and the managers and leaders' skill sets weren't strong enough to keep them there, and to keep them growing. So they went, "Wait a minute. If I go and find a place where the systems and tools make it easier and support me more and I'm more effective, and I've got a manager or leader who's helping me grow, I could do so much more." They'll go
Mm.
find their way to it if they're good, right? So that's the caveat there. Now, absolutely great systems can develop and help people become great selling because there may be certain skill sets that they're missing that if there's a great system, it has the tools to help them identify and go, "Hey, I'm good strong selling, but I'm deficient in these areas," and we have the tools to figure out what those are. We've got the tools in place to help be the structure around to train you to get better, and then to use those tools to coach you and help you put it into day-to-day application. And oh, by the way, we have a strong system of managers and people that have the right skill sets that can help develop you and help you get better. Right? So they have to work hand in hand, but great sellers will eventually break the system and leave it because they go, "It's making it harder than easier for me."
Exactly. Exactly. I think this is a symbiotic relationship between talent and systems, because systems create consistency, which results to a long term sustainable growth. And I believe talent alone doesn't scale.
Yeah. Yeah, there's gonna be a point where the talent gets stuck, and that's if you don't have the right systems and tools to help them grow and develop more, they're gonna stay stuck there or leave.
Agree, agree. But then, Shad, one of the pushback that I hear from founders is systems slow us down. Too, um, too many steps out there, too many regulations, and all these and that. We need speed right now. We need momentum right now. So, how do you respond to leaders who feel structure is the enemy of momentum?
Ooh, that's a good question. Can I pull in the Ironman stuff now?
Yeah, please,
Okay.
please.
Alright,
Fine.
I was going to anyway, so but I figured I'd ask, some permission here. Um I'm gonna give an analogy from the Iron Man, and it's gonna relate to the structure piece and why that's so important and how I have the conversations with leaders. So when I was training for the Ironman, I've been doing triathlons for many years. So like sprint, which are the small kind of starter ones, and then Olympic, which is literally the distances of the Olympic races.
Yeah.
And I've done them in various parts of the country, et cetera. And so I finally get ready to and sign up for the Ironman in Louisville, Kentucky. And I happen to be part of a like a triathlon running marathon group out of a YMCA, and I had a coach, one of the coaches, and there was about 6 of us doing the Ironman, so he said, "I'm gonna help you guys with a plan and coach," and he'd done it before and very successful triathlete in our local area, and so I remember sitting down with Coach Doug, like, on a Thursday night, at the start of the training season, and he said, "What's your goal for this race?" And, here I am, like, I've done half Ironmans and all this, and I'm like, I'm ready for this," like, "Yeah, it's gonna be tough, but I'm ready." I'm like, "I'm gonna finish this race in this amount of time, and it's gonna go like this," and he stopped me and goes, "No, no, no, no. Here's your goal. Your goal is to finish that race and enjoy it. And the thing that we've got to do is figure out where you have the gaps that we can help you be efficient so you're able to efficiently go through each part of that day and be able to finish strong." And that was a shock to me because
Mm.
I was like, "Whoa." He goes, "Your first one, there's going to be so much out of your control of that first day, like, you need to have the right things in place and right tools to be able to adapt within the day and still enjoy it because if you do, it means that you would wanna come back and do this potentially again." And I was like, "That's a great perspective." And so I remember we get into practice, into our practices, and we would swim and run and bike and work and lift weights like multiple times a week. Well, on Saturday mornings, we had it was usually an hour to an hour and a half swim, and then we'd go out and bike and run anywhere from a couple hours till when you're really getting farther in the race training, you might be out there for like 6 hours of biking after, right? And it's to simulate what it's like in the race. You know, you gotta swim and for a certain amount of time and then bike for a certain amount of time, right? And all that. Well, so we're in one of our first swim practices, and I'm not a great swimmer. Like I when I'm work trained up, I've got great endurance, which means I can swim for a long period of time, but I'm not the fastest kid in the pool. You're not gonna see me winning any like swim meets, right? And a lot of it was because I had really bad form and structure. So I was doing things that were causing a lot of wasted effort and energy, which translates to wasted time. Right? And so, we're in the pool, we're swimming laps in our workout, and he said, "Hey, if okay, I'm gonna coach you. I'm gonna pull you over to like the one lap that we had to work on stuff like individually, and if I see something, I'm gonna pull you over to help you get better." I was like, "Yeah, it's fine." And so we're probably about 15 minutes into our practice, and he's like, "Chad, hey, come here. Why don't you get up on the deck and we'll work on something, and we're gonna get in the water." It's like, "Okay." So I get up on the pool deck, and he literally has me just stand there and work on like my arm motions and like how like making sure they're right, and he's like adjusting them, and this he must have had me repeat it Sana like I don't know 100 times on one side, and he goes, "Oh, like now let's do the same on the other side." I was like, "Okay," and then we get in the water, and he's like, "Okay, get in the water and slam by yourself." And he goes, "I want you to swim this 25-meter pool down to that end, to the other end, with just one arm, and just work on that same motion. Like, don't kick. You're using that arm and your body balance to get you there." Um, and he had me do that. And he goes, "When you get to the other end, take a 30-second break, do the same coming back, but with the other arm." And he must have had me doing that for like a half an hour, and I'm getting frustrated. I'm just like, "I got this. I got this." And he could see like Coach Doug and I had worked together for a couple of years at that point. He knew me pretty well. And he could see I'm getting frustrated. He goes, "You're getting frustrated, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Shad, in order for you to get faster, we have to slow down right now and make sure the right things are in place and you're doing them consistently so you can speed up later." And all of a sudden it clicked in my head was all this was to make sure, like, if I'm just going faster doing the wrong things on it, I'm just going to keep repeating the wrong things. And eventually, like, my body was going to crap out from all this wasted effort and energy. Right. Same thing with a lot of owners is that they're like, I want to go fast. That's their personality, right? To grow, go fast. That's how they build businesses.
Mhm.
They don't realize unless I slow down and have the right pieces and like strategies and goals and structures and tools and people in place, and they've got the right skills and know how to use them. Unless I have those things in place, eventually my organization is going to plateau or go backwards at some point because I'm just repeating the stuff that's not working.
That's a brilliant, brilliant battle. It's a brilliant battle, Shad.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
that,
and
that
that's an analogy I've used a lot with owners and leaders over time where they're like, "Oh, I didn't look at it that way." It's like, "Okay, that's why we gotta work on stuff. I know you wanna go fast, but if we slow down now, you're gonna go faster later."
absolutely. Yeah. And I think exactly how the Ironman mindset really shows up. I mean, sprinting, it feels productive early on, but it's really how you finish strong.
Yeah, because if you sprint out in, like, the first half of the race, you're like, "Great," and then all of a sudden you realize, "Man, I'm not using my nutrition and my body doesn't have any fuel. I'm not using my hydration and my body's now dehydrated because I use so much effort and energy up front. Hey, I haven't trained for this, so I don't have the endurance built, and now my body's dragging in the second half. You're going to finish a lot. If you finish, you're going to finish a lot slower and a lot more pain than you could have been."
True, true. And, when you were, narrating all this, one kind of saying came to my mind is, and this is related to pressure that, we say immense, intense pressure creates diamond. Um, many sales teams, because I have been like 10 years in sales. I mean, too much pressure, operating under constant quota anxiety. Like, Saturday, you're done with the current week's quota. Sunday, you have to plan for the next week quota. It's like, you have to plan for the next 3, 4 weeks in advance to make sure that you achieve your weekly quota, your monthly quota, quarterly, whatever it is. Like there is investor expectations, then there's short-term revenue goals. From what you have seen, Shad, how does internal pressure impact how companies sell?
Yeah, and there is so selling. Look at it this way: because there's very few professions you're in that your stats and everything are out there all the time.
Mm.
Like professional athletes, right? Selling also, like your people can look and go, "Are you doing well? Right? What's the goal? Where's your revenue at?" Right? There's very few roles and jobs and professions where it's like that, and there's very few where there's so much pressure because everything that sales does has a direct impact to the rest of
Mm.
the company and to people's livelihoods. Uh, that being said, there's overpressure and there's productive pressure. All right, overpressure is constantly more, and you're not doing enough. And I don't care. It's like we got to push. I have a company leader I work with, and he's getting better, but that was always his way of doing things was, for lack of a better word, whipping people. Well, eventually
Mm.
they're going to break under that pressure,
Yeah.
right? Like eventually they will, and you're going to break people down. Um, so that will get you short-term gains. It will not get you long-term gains because people will eventually leave that environment, or the culture will be so broken that like people will just do what they have to get by.
Mhm.
There's productive pressure, which is, okay, let's set some strong goals that are related to your personal goals and where you want to go. And let's set maybe a base, like we call it here at Lushin, we set a baseline, which is like we have to hit. This is what your performance is based on. This is what, we base all the company like expenses and like everything is like the things the company wants to do towards our mission vision is based on that. That's a
Mm.
baseline. Like you got to hit. And then we set what we call a stretch or a brass ring, which is the pressure, the productive pressure is let's set a goal and agree with you that it's gonna be a stretch, but if you get there, it's like you go, "Wow," like, it would be like, these things would be so great, and it stretches you outside your comfort zone. Now, that may mean that managers have to work with people and help them expand their vision of what they believe can be achieved, or it may mean they're gonna have to work with them and really work on helping them get the skills and tools they need and putting those in place and challenging them, but as long as it's related to the personal goals of where people want to go. Like it becomes less about pressure when it's helping them stretch towards the things they want to stretch towards versus just we're putting pressure on and driving it because that's what the leader wants next.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And I think um this is I mean, it's a tough one because, pressure it feels justified. I mean, we talk about good pressure, good stress, or then there is bad stress. But
Mhm.
Shad, what you are pointing out is that, buyers can sense desperation. This is something that I've personally, faced a lot. And I think trust is built when sellers are grounded, not frantic. And
Mhm.
ironically, the more pressure companies apply internally, I believe the less trustworthy they often appear externally. That affects from all the ends.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, if to your point, if sellers are showing up where they're like, I got to get the sale, I got to make it right. Like buyers smell that a mile away.
Yeah.
Right, like, they can smell it as soon as the conversation starts, and then they're going to start to retract because 'cause they're like, "Here's just another person trying to sell me something for their reasons and for their things, and they don't care about what I want or what I need help with." Versus if they show up with the mindset of, hey, if this doesn't work out, there's plenty of other opportunities. There's other great companies out there. I've got a full pipeline of stuff already. I'm just focused on truly helping them. And if I can't help them right now, there's other folks I can. Then they show up without that desperation, and it's more of a productive conversation, and people feel and sense that they're truly working towards what's going to help them most. I was talking with earlier this afternoon with a prospective customer I got referred to up in Canada, and, like, my mind's just, like, I start, like, how can like, "Hey, I know this person, she connected us, like, how can I help?" As they're going through and telling me about things, it's a lot more they gotta figure out some internal production, manufacturing things before we could even work on the sales stuff, and I just looked at them and said, "Hey, guys, it sounds like that's the priority, and, like, I was talking about where I could help here in these sort of things. It's too early." And they're like, yeah, but we're moving fast on figuring these things out or getting in place. Like, but we think we're probably another couple months before we get there. I go, okay, how about we just agree in a couple months? Like we reach out, we just see where you're at and if it makes sense to have this conversation, because right now trying to figure stuff out, it's not the thing you need to be focused on, right? That's taking pressure off, right? That's just going, hey, yeah, I mean, there's things I could help, but like focus on what's most important or what's the thing right now, and just help you with that. And if that means we don't work together right now or we don't because it's not the right fit, that's okay.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my goodness. I mean, I wish we had more time, but in the interest of the time limit, Shad, if our listeners they would further like to connect with you, share their thoughts or opinions after this conversation with you, what would be the easiest way?
Yeah, best way to go is to if you go to our website, www.lushin, and that's L as in Larry, U, S as in Sam, H as in Harry, I, N as in Nancy, .com, www.lushin.com. On the upper right hand side, there's a little button that says talk to a coach. They can literally click that, ask them a few questions on contact info, what they like to talk about, and then they can select me as a coach, and that sends me a direct email. I get that. I reach out to them. We schedule a time to talk. That's the best and fastest way to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Well, listeners, I'll have all the links and details in the show notes. So, yeah, just refer to them along with this episode on whichever platform you listen to the BizBlend podcast. And I mean, listeners, what stands out to me is that intentional sales growth is not about hacks or heroics. It is about discipline, clarity, consistency, and the willingness to question assumptions that feel familiar but may no longer serve the business. So, Shad, thank you so much. I mean, honestly, this has been such a therapeutic conversation for me, and I'm very sure for all the listeners out there as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you, son. I appreciate it, and I really appreciate being able to have the conversation with everybody and help out however I can.
Super, super. And let's have a quick takeaway, listeners. If your sales growth feels stressful, unpredictable, or emotionally draining, that is not normal or necessary. It is feedback. Intentional growth starts when leaders stop reacting and start designing. So, to all of the listeners, thank you for tuning into this blend. If this episode challenged your thinking, that's a good thing. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and keep building with intention. Thank you.